There he is. All right, so Le'Veon Bell should retire if he's franchised again. Is this an overreaction? What are your thoughts here, D'Angelo? This is one of your guys here. So do you think he should hang it up if they stick that tag back on him?
I don't think he should retire. It's not an overreaction. Let's make sure we get that right. It's not an overreaction. I don't think he should retire, but if it takes him sitting out a year to get his point across, I'd do that. I'm not Le'Veon Bell, though.
Yep.
He didn't tell me anything. I would do that because, first of all, to get people to understand what a franchise tag is, a franchise tag is paying you, make $14.5 million this year. That's an insurance policy. It's not guaranteed next year. It's not guaranteed the year after that. So if you get hurt and I said at the top of the segment that injuries are 100% of this game. So if he get injured, he'd never sniff $10 or $15 million. He's want to make a team, $2 or $3 million. So that insurance policy and these guaranteed signing bonuses that all these other players are getting for these long-term deals, he no longer has that ability to get that. And I totally understand where he's coming from, consider they did try to hang a tag on him that he was always injured.
Yeah. So what's it feel like for him right now?
It has to, ownership, in my opinion, and the organization show you how much they appreciate you by opening their pocketbooks. And if they're not willing to open their pocketbooks to me, they're telling me a lot by saying, hey, I don't think you're worth what you're asking for. But a lot of people don't understand. As long as Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback in Pittsburgh, then Le'Veon Bell is very valuable because Ben holds the football. And when Ben holds the football and he's looking for somebody to throw it to, he always knows that 26 is open for him and he's going to work for him. So as long as Big Ben is there, 26 is just as valuable as any other player in that organization.
There's no disputing his value. There's no question about it. I think it's an overreaction to say he should retire if he's franchised again because, again, retire I think is a pretty extreme thing at Le'Veon Bell's age, and I think that's probably not where you want to go when the other option is, you can scoff at $14.5 million, but it's still $14.5 million more than you're going to be making if you retire. The problem, and I think we discussed this last week on the show, the Steelers do contracts in a way that's making it difficult for them with Le'Veon Bell. All their guarantee is in the signing bonus. That's how they structure contracts. They don't guarantee salary year to year.
Right.
And if you have a guy in Le'Veon Bell, and again, you say hang the tag on him. I mean, he does have a history where he's missed games due to injury. He does have a history where he's missed games due to suspension. So if you want to guarantee a guy up front money, it's more difficult to maybe get that money back should those problems arise again in the future. And rightly or wrongly, what we've done in the past does have an effect on the way people view us going forward in the future.
This is my honest opinion about this. I understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a certain way of doing things. LaShawn McCoy right now has set the running back market at $8.5 million, right? If you tell me every time Le'Veon touches the ball, you've never seen this before. This is magnificent. This is that. Why should you not have to pay for it?
I think they do. They do have to pay for it. They offered him a contract last year, right? I mean, it's been reported.
It wasn't for what he wanted.
For what he wanted, right.
So they were $3 or $4 million short.
So if you can't, the franchise tag, unfortunately for players, is there in case of this situation where the team and the player don't see eye to eye on value and the team doesn't want to let him go. It's a restrictive mechanism. We've discussed it many, many times, and it's bad for players. But in the current climate, now that it's up to $14.5 million, it's not quite as bad for players as it might have been a couple of years ago.
It is for insurance policy. And then you said something about history. You said he had a history of injuries, he had a history, but he also has a history of not leaving the field and giving everything that he has. He also has a history of being number 10 in receptions. He also has a history of doing things that you've never seen running backs do. And he also has a history of just wanting to get paid and continue to be a Steeler, but they're putting what they normally do in way of something that they've never seen before. So if you normally do something, but you have something that you've never seen before,
maybe it's time to make an exception.
Absolutely.
What gives,
they do?
In the interest of transparency, I'm going to say that my answer here is driven in part by the fan in me that does not want to see Le'Veon Bell go anywhere. So I think it's an overreaction for him to retire if he is franchise tagged for the second consecutive season. We understand the money involved, $14.55 million, great life-changing money, although he's already made plenty of money, especially in comparison to other people that are his age in the professional world. But the Steelers, they're this close. They're this close right now. Couple of reparations on defense. stay healthy at the right spots on offense.
New offensive coordinator.
New offensive
Brandon
coordinator.
Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a good offensive coordinator. I played against him.
Certainly a familiar name within that organization, from the quarterback's coach to the offensive coordinator spot. So I think, that my answer is mostly driven by the idea, I don't want to imagine an NFL without a 26-year-old Le'Veon Bell in it. So overreaction.
Well, if that happens,